Welcome back to the Cosy Rosy Crochet channel, and today I am sharing with you my Celtic headband, which has been inspired by traditional Celtic textures. The printable PDF available for this pattern also includes a coordinating pair of wrist warmers as well, and together these can bring a warmth and elegance to your cold weather wardrobe. This pattern has been designed to help you use up what you have in your stash, and you're going to need DK or size 3 weight yarn. I'll go through the yarn amounts once I take you through the size chart in a moment, but I'm going to be using this West Yorkshire Spinners Wool Revival, and it's 100% recycled. It's made up of 80% British wool and 20% of nylon, so it's not an itchy wool in any way. And the recommended hook size here is a 4mm crochet hook, and that is exactly what I'm going to be using today to meet my gauge. Alongside your crochet hook, you're going to need a pair of scissors and of course a darning needle. I always have a stitch marker to hand, but I don't think we're going to need one today. Let's have a look at those yarn amounts we're going to need alongside the size chart so you know which size you'll be stitching up today. So the headband pattern is written for 6 different sizes, from a baby sized all the way up to a large adult, as you can see here on your screen. If we head straight over to the estimated yarn amounts, the smallest amount for the baby size is going to be 85 meters, and all the way up to the large adult size, which is 155. So this is going to take less than a ball of a double knit or size 3 yarn for pretty much any size you're going to make. I am going to give the stitch counts for each size as we move through, so they will be given in order of baby, toddler, child, teen/small adult, medium adult, all the way up to large adult. The headband is going to be worked in turned rows, and we're then going to seam those turned rows all together to finish up and join the headband. So grab your hook and let's get started. I'm going to start by making a slip knot and placing that onto my hook. And we are all going to make our beginning chain. For the baby size, we're going to make a chain of 71. For the toddler, we're going to make a chain of 79. For your child size, you'll be making a chain of 87. For your teen/small adult, we will be doing 91 chains. The medium adult will make 99, and the large adult will be making 111. In today's video, I'm going to be making the child size. I'm going to be gifting this to my niece because she loves to style all her crochet accessories I make for her. So once you've completed making your beginning chain, we're going to continue with round 1 by working 1 half double crochet into the second chain and each chain across. Now I am going to recommend that rather than working into the top of our chains, that you flip it over and start working into those back bumps. So there's the first back bump and there's the second, and we're simply going to yarn over the hook. I don't know if I split that there. And we're just going to place the back bump of our chain onto our hook. I do need to use my nail because I've chained a little bit tightly. We're yarning over so that we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. I should have mentioned that I am using US terms in this video. We're going to yarn over and repeat that into each back bump of the chain across so that we are working 1 half double crochet into each chain. So at the end of row 1, once you've worked 1 half double crochet into each stitch across, for the baby size you should have 70 half double crochets, 78 for the toddler, 86 for a child, 90 for the teen/small adult, 98 for the medium adult, and 110 for the large size. Going straight into row 2, we begin with a turning chain of 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and we're going to work into the same stitch as our chain 1 to make our first half double crochet of the row. We're then going to begin doing front post back post ribbing in half double crochet. So we're going to start by yarning over, and we're going around that post underneath the next stitch. We're going to go in from the front and out the front. So once you've yarned over, we're going to go into this second hole just next to the post of the stitch below. I'll show you that again. So there's where we've just worked into that hole. Just underneath is the hole at the side of the post, and we're going into that next hole and back out around the side of that post. We're going to yarn over bring our loop up, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 as normal. This makes the next post a little bit easier to see, and we're going to go around this next post. So we start by yarning over, and our next post we're going to work around the back. So once you've yarned over, keeping the yarn to the back, we're going to come around from the back and through that hole, and then we're going to go from down the side of that post, which is really hard to see, but there's a slight gap between the posts, and that's where we're inserting. So you've got nothing on the front of your project, your hook is out the back. We're going to yarn over, bring our loop back through, which just fell off. Will not come through, bear with. I think it's because I'm looking at it through the camera. There we go, got it. So we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So the front post brings the post towards you, and the back post sends it out the back. We're going to repeat across, working 1 front post double crochet around the next, following by working around the back of the post of the following stitch. So we've just done a back post, and we're going to work around the next post doing a front post. We go in through the side of the post and back out the front. We yarn over, bring our loop through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then for the back post, we're going to go in the side of the post we've just worked. This is so easy to do off camera, sorry. There we go. I just kind of bend it, and then my hook finds the space to come back out. Yarn over, bring it back through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then we're back to doing the front post around the next post stitch. So in the front, out the front, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then into that next space we're coming from the back, out the back, yarning over, bringing it through to yarn over and pull through all 3. And once you get into a bit of a rhythm of this, it does become a lot easier, and your hook kind of learns where it needs to go. And you can see that we're creating this really nice ribbing that looks the same on both sides, but they're actually doing 1 front post, 1 back post, 1 front post, 1 back post, so it comes in and out all the way across. So continue to repeat that all the way down to the last stitch. We're going to be working 1 front post double, 1 front half post double, half double crochet. My mind went blank there. So we're going to work 1 front post half double crochet, followed by 1 back post half double crochet. I'm just going to repeat that all the way down, back to that final stitch, and that's where I'm going to meet you. So once you've worked that all the way down and you have just 1 stitch remaining, it might look like you actually have 2 left, but that post stitch counts for this one. Into that final stitch, we are just going to work a final half double crochet. To count your stitches, you just need to count the number of front post stitches that you have. For the baby sized, you'll have 34, toddlers will have 38, the child size will have 42, teen/small adult will have 44, medium adult will have 48, and that large adult will have 54 front post half double crochets. You should have the same number of back post, and then 1 half double crochet at each end. For row 3, we are simply repeating row 2, making that turning chain of 1, working a half double crochet into the top of the stitch. It's the same as where your chain 1 is, and then we're back to working front post around the first stitch and a back post around the next. It's a little bit easier this time because we've already got a front post to work around. So instead of going into the stitch at the top of our front post, we're going to insert our hook underneath that post, underneath the stitch. So with this one, where my stitch is a bit baggy, you can see that you've got a space. If you put your hook through there, push it out the front, you'll pick up the front post from the previous row and complete your front post half double crochet. Then for the back, you're coming in to that space, out the back again to put that post back onto your hook and complete your front post half double, or your back post half double crochet. We're going to repeat this all the way down, working 1 front post half double crochet followed by a back post half double crochet all the way back down to that final stitch, And once again, that's where I'm going to meet you. Your stitch count is going to remain the same as it was for row 2 as well. Once you've worked all the way back down, working those front post and back post half double crochets into our final stitch, we are working 1 half double crochet, and that completes row 3. So we've got a nice little rib section at the start of our headband. Going into row 4, we're making a turning chain of 3 this time. Now this chain 3 does count as our first double crochet of the row, so we're not going to work into the stitch underneath it. Instead, we are simply working 1 double crochet into the top of each stitch across. So we are simply working 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way to the end of the row. Continue on working those double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of row 4. So at the end of row 4, you should have the following stitch counts. For the baby size, you're going to have 70 double crochets. For the toddler, you'll have 78. The child size, you're going to have 86. The teen/small adult will have 90 double crochets. The medium size will have 98, and the large adult will have 110. You'll notice I've swapped my hook. For some reason, this yarn was catching on the other hook, making it a little bit tricky, as you saw when I was doing those post stitches. So this row of double crochets that we've just made is the foundation for the Celtic Weave pattern that we're going to be making. The Celtic Weave is actually only a 2-row repeat, which we're going to be working on rows 5 and 6. So let's jump into row 5 to work our first row of this Celtic Weave pattern. We're going to start with a chain of 3. Once again, this does count as our first double crochet of the row, and all the stitches worked in row 5 are front post treble crochets. So we're going to start by wrapping the yarn around the hook twice, so it looks like we've got 3 loops on our hook. This stitch count, so we're not going to work into that stitch with a chain 3, and we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. So I'm going to isolate the next 4. So this chain 3 counts as that first stitch. We're going to skip 1, skip 2, and we're going to work around the next post, which you can just see the holes there. So we're going to front post treble crochet around each of the next 2 post stitches. We've wrapped the yarn around the hook twice, skip 1, skip 2, and we're going to insert from the front out the front, yarn over, bring our loop up, and if I tidy it up, it should look like 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through the next 2, and yarn over to pull through the last 2. Going to wrap the yarn around the hook twice once again, and work a second front post treble crochet around the next post. We're then going to work back around these 2 posts that we've previously skipped. So we're going to wrap the yarn around the hook twice and insert around that post we skipped from the front out the front, yarn over, bring your loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. We've just got that 1 post left that we haven't worked around, so we're going to yarn over the hook twice and insert around that previously skipped post once again. To work that front post treble crochet. So effectively we have worked 4 stitches, so we have 1, 2 that we worked previously, and 3 and 4, and they're crossing. We're going to repeat this the whole way across. So as you can see, there is something worked around that post, so that's used. If we grab the next 4 post stitches, making sure that you can see where you've worked around that post previously, we skip 1, skip 2, and working a front post treble crochet around each of the next 2 posts. So wrapping the yarn around the hook twice, in the front, out the front, making sure that you have 2 posts left unworked. There's something in that one, skip, skip, and around the next. Work your front post treble crochet around each of the next 2 post stitches. And then we're going to cross back in front around over these 2 stitches to work around these previously skipped posts. So that's 1, and then we need to work around that last one that's not yet been worked around there. Both times we're just working a front post treble crochet. And again, we have another cross. So we're going to continue to repeat this all the way along, making sure that you skip the stitch you've already worked over. You're going to skip one, skip two, front post treble crochet over the next two posts, and then work back over the front of those previously worked stitches to work around those two stitches or the two posts that we skipped previously. Show you one more. So skip one, skip two, front post treble crochet, pick up one post around each of the next two stitches. So that's one, and that's number two. Always get my yarn wrapped first, and then we're going to work around each of these previously skipped posts again with a front post treble crochet. And there we go. Continue to repeat this all the way down until you have just one stitch remaining, which is going to be your turning chain from the previous row, and that's where I'm going to meet you. So once you've worked that all the way across and you're left with just your turning chain, which is going to be hiding behind just the nature of the stitches, we just need to work one double crochet into the top of that chain 3 from the beginning of the previous row to complete row 5. So at the end of row 5 you will have 2 double crochets, and then the baby size will have 68 front post treble crochets, toddlers will have 76, child sizes will have 84, teen/small adult will have 88, medium adult will have 96, and the large adult will have 108 front post treble crochets. Row 6 is the second row of this 2-row repeat, and it begins with a chain of 3. And with this row, we're going to be working back post stitches the whole way across. We actually start by working a back post double crochet. So we're going to start by just yarning over the hook once. And if you look at the front of the project, this is stitch number 1, stitch number 2, 3 and 4. So we're going to start by working one back post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. So we're just yarning over the hook once. I'm going to flip mine towards me because then I can see those posts a little bit easier. And you think they're in the wrong place when you turn, but move those out of the way. And these are the 2 stitches and the 2 posts we're working. So we're going from the back, just picking up that first post from the front, from the back, out the back, yarn over, bring your loop up. This time we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the first back post double crochet, and then yarned over, ready to work the next around that next post. So yarn over, bring your third loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. These 2 stitches curve the Celtic weave back in on itself. For the remainder of this row till the last 3 stitches, we're going to be working back post treble crochets now. So we're going to be yarning over the hook twice before we insert around the post. So looking at the front of our project, we've worked these front 2 stitches with those front post double crochets. We're then going to skip 2 stitches, so that's 1 and 2. And we're going to be working around these next 2 post stitches from the row before. And again, it's these ones that are on top. So wrap the yarn around the hook twice. We're skipping 1, skipping 2, and we're going to work around this next post stitch. So yarn over, bring your loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook twice again and work around that next front post treble from the previous row, working a back post treble. So you'll be looking a little bit like this, and you can see there's a gap here, and that's because we now need to work around these 2 posts that have not yet been worked, but we're going to work around the back. So wrap the yarn around the hook twice, and I kind of insert my finger to isolate the stitches that we want. So I shove my finger through those post stitches that have already been worked, because we worked the front post double crochets around them. Wrap the yarn around the hook twice. I'm going to come in, so I put my hook through the space that I've marked so that we can pick up, she says, the first of those 2 post stitches that we skipped previously. So now I only have one of those posts on my hook and my loops. We're going to yarn over, just bring that loop back through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Ignore that I split that yarn. Okay, so we can see that we still have this post stitch left unworked. So we're going to wrap the yarn around the hook twice. You can use your finger to isolate where you're going to be inserting your hook from the back, out the back, and work that back post treble crochet once again. So we are creating a ridge where we haven't worked into our stitches, and that's perfectly normal. And if you looked at it from the other side, we're almost continuing the cross that we started on the previous row, and they are kind of worked in groups of 4. If your brain works like mine, I like grouping my stitches together. So you can see that we have a group of 4 that we worked on the previous row. We're going to offset the group so that we're actually working across those stitches, because these ones have already been worked, because these post stitches that we worked I've already counted. So we're going to skip 1, skip 2. Even though it looks like we've got 2 stitches here, those posts that are just behind it count for those. So we skip 1, skip 2, and we're heading to work around these next 2 post stitches on the rear of our project. So wrap the yarn around the hook twice, skip 1, skip 2, and we're aiming to insert underneath that post there from the back, out the back. Wrap the yarn around the hook twice again and work around that next post, but we're doing a back post treble once again. We have to work around these 2 previously skipped stitches, and once again I'm just going to insert my finger so I can isolate them slightly. Wrap the yarn around the hook twice, and we're coming kind of folding down from the back through to pick up that previously skipped post, working a front post or a back post treble. Wrap the yarn around the hook again. We've just got that last one to work. To complete that next group of 4 stitches we've just worked. Now we're going to repeat this the whole way across. I'm going to do one more with you. These post stitches are already worked because they're there. We can see them. We've extended them. So we're going to skip 1, skip 2, and work around that next post stitch on the rear, which are actually these 2 stitches here. So wrap the yarn around the hook twice. We're skipping 1, skipping 2, working around the back of the post of that next stitch with a back post treble. Don't know why I can't say back post today. And we're doing a back post treble around that next post. There we go. And then we have to work around these 2 posts that we just skipped. I do find it easier to isolate those stitches so you can see where you're bringing your hook through, kind of underneath where we've worked. So wrap the yarn around the hook twice, come behind and insert the hook around those 2 skipped posts from the back, out the back. Bring your loop up and through that, around that post. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So 3 times. And we're left with 1 post left to work. Wrap the yarn around the hook twice and work around that final post that has not been worked. So you're going to look a little bit like this, and you will have all of these stitches unworked. That's exactly what we want. This is the wrong side of our project, which is why we're working back post stitches, because they show on the front of our project. And once you work the next repeat, you will really see how beautiful this pattern is. So we're going to continue to repeat that across. Remember that these posts, or these next 2 stitches, have been worked because they are those posts that we've already done. So we're going to skip 1, skip 2, and work a back post treble across the next 2 posts, and then we're going to work 2 back post double crochets around those 2 remaining post stitches coming through that space there. We're repeating that the whole way across to our last 3 stitches, and that is where I'm going to meet you. Once you've worked that all the way across, don't worry if it's folding down, mine does too. Once you've worked it all the way across and you've got 3 stitches remaining, 1 will be your turning chain from the previous row. So we have these 2 posts that have not been worked, and there isn't enough to work the same repeat. Instead, all we're going to do is work 1 back post double crochet around each of these remaining 2 post stitches, coming in through the middle of that cross again. And it's just 1 yarn over to work our back post double crochet around each of the remaining 2 posts, and then we're working a double crochet into the top of our turning chain from the previous row. Doesn't look like much, but if you turn it over, you can start to see the weaving of these beautiful post stitches. All the sizes are going to continue on to repeat rows 5 to 6. The baby, toddler and child sizes are going to repeat rows 5 to 6 just once more. The teen/small adult, medium and large adult are just going to repeat rows 5 to 6 2 more times, or a further 2 times. And then we're all going to meet up for the next row. I won't give row counts at this point, we're going to get ourselves confused. What I am going to do is continue on to row 7, which is going to be the same for everybody, just so you can see how it's slightly different repeating row 5, because obviously we're working around posts now. So this is a repeat of row 5 for row 7. We're going to make our turning chain of 3. This is just a bonus. You just continue on and repeat rows 5 and 6. So we're back with the right side of our project facing, so we're only going to be working front post treble crochets for this row, and we are going to start with that turning chain of 3 that does count as a stitch. And then we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, wrap the yarn around the hook twice, and then we are ready to start. And these are the first 2 posts to work around. So we're going to skip 1, skip 2, and work 1 front post treble crochet, oh gosh, around each of the next 2 posts. So that was 1, oops, gosh, and that is 2. So we've worked 1 front post treble around each of the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to work back around those 2 post stitches that we skipped. So once you've wrapped the yarn around the hook twice, we're working around the previously skipped posts with a front post treble. So that was 1, and this is 2. So it's very similar for what we did. We are literally repeating the row. It's just that we're now continuing our post stitches. So when you look at it like this, we're skipping 1 and 2 and working around the next 2 posts. Depends how much of a visual person you are as to whether this will be helpful. Sorry. There we go. The previously skipped ones are tucked behind these 2 posts here. So when you wrap the yarn around the hook twice, you're looking for that space. It's going to be tucked behind those posts in the previous row. And there's 1, which is really quite tucked. And then number 2 is just next to it. This is when you're really going to start to see the Celtic weave start popping out, because we're extending underneath these stitches to really create that pattern. So we're going to continue to repeat that all the way across, and then we can repeat row 6. As a reminder, the baby, toddler and child are just repeating rows 5 and 6 a further 1 time. So we're doing rows 7 and 8, and then the small adult/teen, medium adult and large adult are repeating rows 5 and 6 2 more times for rows 7 up to row 10. So continue on to work those repeats, and then I'm going to meet you back once you've done them so we can continue on together to finish off our headbands. So once you've made all your repeats, you should really be able to see how beautiful that Celtic weave is. From here, baby, toddler and child are going on to row 9. Teen/small adult, medium and large adult are going into row 11. We're all doing the same, don't worry. We're going to make a turning chain of 1, and for this row that chain 1 doesn't count, so we're working into the same stitch as our chain 1, working 1 half double crochet, and we're working 1 half double crochet into the top of each stitch across. Some of them might be smaller than others, so make sure that you're not missing any. And we're just simply working into the top of the stitches now. We're not extending that cable pattern any further. So continue working 1 half double crochet into the top of each stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Don't forget to work into the top of that turning chain from the previous row at the end. And at the end of this row, you will have a stitch count of 70 half double crochets for the baby size, 78 for the toddler, 86 for the child. Teen small adult will have 90, medium adult will have 98, and the large adult will have 110 half double crochets. For rows 10 and 11 for the baby, toddler and child, and rows 12 and 13 for the teen, small adult, medium and large adult, we are working this. So we're doing 2 rows of this effectively. We're making a turning chain of 1, and we're going back to our front post, back post, half double crochet ribbing. So remember that chain 1 doesn't count. We're working 1 half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1, and then we're going to be working a front post half double crochet around the next post, back post half double crochet around the next. So we're going to go underneath that stitch that we've just worked. It's going to be a little bit tight for this one. So we're going in from the front, out the front, yarning over, bringing our loop up, yarning over and pulling through all 3 for that front post, and then we're working around the back of the post of the next. In from the front, out from the front to work the front post half double crochet, in, out from the back, oh no, in from the back, out from the back for the back post. And I'm still finding those tricky. I don't know why today. There we go. Certainly a lot easier than working our Celtic weave. But these smaller posts, did I just do a front post? No. So once you've done your back post, we're then going back to our front post. Oh, there's lots of front and backs, sorry. So working 1 front post double crochet followed by 1 back post. In from the front, out from the front, and then in from the back, out from the back. So continue to work 1 front post double crochet followed by 1 back post double crochet all the way across to your last stitch, and I will meet you there. Once you've worked all the way across, all that's left to do is to work 1 half double crochet into that last stitch, which I can't see. There we are. We're going to repeat this row 1 final time, and we're just repeating our last row. So we do a total of 2 of these rows of the front post, back post, half double crochet. So we make a turning chain of 1, work a half double crochet into that same stitch as our chain 1, and then we front post half double crochet around the next stitch. And I'm catching my yarn again. Why is that? There we are. And then back post half double crochet around the next post. Once again, we're just going to repeat that the whole way down and work 1 final half double crochet into that last stitch, and then I'm going to meet you back there ready to fasten off and seam our headbands. I'll see you in a few moments. So once you've worked that final repeat of your front post, back post ribbing, we can fasten off. I'm just going to make a little chain 1, grabbing my scissors and leaving a nice long tail, and we're going to use this tail to sew our headbands together. So I'm going to place this longer tail onto my darning needle, and then I'm going to place the 2 shorter ends together with the wrong side facing. I do sew up with my other hand, sorry for any confusion. I'm simply going to whip stitch through both layers. So there's where I fastened off. So I'm going to go through the end and straight through where I fastened off, just to give us a really nice start. And then very simply, I'm going to work through both layers, going kind of looping around, making sure that my end is even. So we're just quickly whip stitching through both sides. Making sure I catch that final stitch and where that slip knot is. And then just for extra security, I'm not going to pull tightly, I'm just going to knot these tails together. And all that's left to do is to weave those ends in. And our headband is complete. I really hope that you've enjoyed learning how to make the Celtic Weave headband.